as a veteran, small business owner, what can we do for you?
What we can all do for all veteran business owners is promote each other.
My main mission was to look at tools and technology to leverage small business and give them more of a competitive advantage.
My mission for Veteran Bargains is very simple: to help vets.
That story in itself, to run for Vista City Council, is a journey.
I think this is an opportunity to really collaborate with those gone before us.
It's really kind of a labor of love.
And now your host.
Welcome to episode 10 of the Veterans Chamber Radio Show. And we want to welcome our audience. Today we have an excellent guest, a veteran. And at this time, I'd like to thank behind the scenes, we have our production crew. We have our producer, Michael Woods. We have our co-host, Laura Torres, and we also have our moderator and executive director of the Veterans Chamber of Commerce, Joseph Molina, and then Dolly, who is also our chief social media coordinator. So with that, I would also like to say that our sponsor for this show is Mays and Associates with director Mark Mays. So at this point, I'd like to welcome on Joseph Molina to share a little bit about the Chamber.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you, Abby, for coming on the show. And I just wanted to say, give a quick welcome to everyone and to thank everyone. You already thanked Shelley for being such a great team and bringing this show live across the nation to showcase awesome heroes like Abby, who kind of bring change to our communities, who kind of represent the veteran community all over the country. So I want to thank you, Abby, for what you do, what you continue to do to keep the mission moving, to keep the mission going forward. So all that, Shelley, thank you very much for hosting the show. And it is back to you.
All right. Well, and again, and I'd like to say thank you, Joe, for the opportunity and for what you do for the Chamber of Commerce and our team in the background, too. This is a great show, and I think there's a lot of golden nuggets that are shared every episode. And this episode is no different. With Abby, he has been on our military speakers program with the Veterans Chamber of Commerce for, I think it's almost 2 years now. And what I'd like to do is welcome Abby, but first I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of his bio, and then we'll get into the questions. So Abby is a two-time combat veteran from Operation Desert Storm in 1991, and in 2003, Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was part of the main combat operations element from Kuwait to Baghdad. As a sought-out speaker, he has been the Master of Ceremonies for organizations nationally, the guest of honor for several Marine Corps balls and birthday balls, and veterans events. Current topics that he covers, and these are pretty significant for right now. One of them is how to handle a bully, and also anti-terrorism and active shooter programs. So with Abby, I'd like to welcome you onto the show, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Shelley, thank you very much for having me here today. And Joe, I really appreciate you. We met on social media many years ago. And since then, I've had the opportunity to blessed to travel around this country and share about leadership at different conferences, SHRM, and actually the active shooter training at churches and synagogues and high schools and dentist offices and lawyer offices. So everyone needs that information. So that's what I've been doing, keeping busy. Of course, since COVID, we've been doing a lot more Zoom and a lot of more videos, which is okay. And once everything gets back to where we can start doing audiences, I'm looking forward to that because I really miss you and the people, physical people. It's good to do it on the computer, but it's a lot better to actually see the audience and speak into their lives and make a difference and change the words that you speak to change their life.
Yes. And one thing I absolutely know about you, Abby, is that you're very humble. You're very present with your audience, and you're, a lot of times where you've spoken, people they gravitate to you because of your authenticity. What I would love to find out is, being that right now we have stay-at-home orders, what other than, and I hear an echo, so let's see there. We can still hear an echo. Can you hear an echo on your end?
No, my end is very good.
Okay. So with the stay-at-home orders and doing more Zoom meetings, where do you see this kind of going in the next 3 to 6 months with getting out there and being able to shake hands and keep doing what you do best?
Well, last week I did do a small group. We did a small group of about 10 people. Everybody was spread out, and we did an active shooter training. And it was very successful. A lot of positive feedback. But with social media, you're in California, I'm in Florida, so it's a good thing. You're able to on camera, you're able to share your message across the nation, across the world. So many people are watching today, not just in California or Florida, but many people throughout the world can watch it on video. So we have the positives on the video side as well. And I believe down the road, once everything starts changing, we'll get back into the programs and the audience as well in the physical activity versus the virtual world.
Yeah, and kind of reflecting back to when you first started this and you have a 30-year career in the military, right? 30 years.
I just retired from the United States Marine Corps. I just got my paperwork, believe it or not.
Oh, congratulations. 3 days ago.
Yeah, kind of delayed. And I'm actually doing my retirement ceremony. I moved it. This is my third time moving it. I'm moving it to January of next year. If you're welcome to come to Florida, Shelley, you're more than welcome to come. And I plan to have an awesome retirement ceremony with flag presentation and just friends, family, and local dignitaries of the area. But I have people flying from California, so if they can fly, maybe, who knows, if you got a good flight, you're more than welcome to come. You'll be my guest.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I hope that I could make that, or maybe it could be a virtual event, right, where you can stream it to all your friends across the country.
Oh, maybe we could do that too.
Knowing who you are, Abby, and we've talked on multiple occasions, when we've talked about your military, experience, when you first started, and I know you were 16 when you kind of got into this. I just remember
19.
19. I'm sorry, not 16, 19. Yeah, 19. You have to be legal to get in it. But your story started, I think, at 16, right? Tell us your story starting at 16, because I know that was something that was very pivotal in your life.
Well, I'll be honest about the Marine Corps. I didn't know much about it until the age of 16. I heard of the Army, I heard of the Navy, but I never heard about the Marine Corps. And I was actually walking by, and I saw this office, and I said, what is this? And of course, I later saw Full Metal Jacket, and it kind of interests me. I talked to a couple friends at school. Hey, I'm thinking about joining the Marine Corps. And they're like, no, man, you crazy? I said, I don't know, maybe I am. And one day, basically walked into the office and made a decision to join the United States Marine Corps. And shortly after that, I found myself at 19 in Desert Storm. First time on a transatlantic flight, 24 hours on an airplane. I landed in Saudi Arabia. I'll be honest with you, Shelley, I was scared. I remember seeing the driver that picked us up, and I didn't know if he was friendly or the enemy. He was friends, obviously, but you're 19 years old, and you're like, wow, this is it's a turning point. But it made a big difference in my life, going to war and seeing, it was a 100-hour war, but things that I learned there has transformed my career. And I'll share a quick story with you. So
yes, please.
The 100-hour war is over. We are rolling into Kuwait City. As we're rolling into Kuwait City, I'm a young Lance Corporal on top of a Humvee. I was a tow gunner, TOWS. T stands for tube launched. O is optical sighted. W, wire guided. And then S, system. We basically shoot a missile 3,750 meters. And I say tows. and I do two things with the toes. Toes, T, every single day is a threat in our lives. When we drive, there's people that may cut you off, road rage. There's always a threat no matter what you do, where you go. But with every threat, there's an O. There's an opportunity to escape a bad situation. And then the W, all of us have weaknesses. I don't care who you are. We all have weaknesses. And the thing about a leader, and when you're a leader and you see a weakness in one of your friends, your employees, a coworker, whatever it is to recognize and say, hey, look, I know you're struggling with that. And being humble and say, I struggle with that too. And let me show you how to make it your S. Let me make it your strength. And with that being said, I use that acronym as a toe gunner for toes to change my life. But yet I was changed in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait City. I'm rolling into Kuwait City, and there's a young Muslim boy, Shelly. And this young boy looks me in the eyes. And as he's looking me in the eyes, he sticks out his finger and he says, America is number one. And I'm 19. I'm thinking, what's going on here? This kid is telling me that my country, the United States of America, is number one. So I told the driver, I said, stop. It's actually Lance Corporal Hot Rod. That's what we used to call him, Hot Rod. But I said, pull over, stop. So we stop, and I start talking to this kid, and I'm intrigued. He speaks English. We're in Kuwait City. Looks me in the eyes and tells me that the enemy came in. Saddam Hussein came in with the Republican Guard, and basically he said they took my father away.
Oh my
and when
gosh.
he said that, I could see the pain in his eyes, and I said, "Man, something's going on here." He says, "And they did some really bad things to my mother. They did some really horrible things to my sister." He says, "But you know what?" He gives me a smile and says, "You know what?" He says, "When the Americans came in, when the Americans showed up, when the Marines showed up," he says, "the bad guys left."
Oh my gosh, how powerful.
That touched me, and I said, wow. At 19, to think that when you call for help and someone shows up and makes a difference in your life, that kid will be impacted. And not only is he impacted, I've been impacted for the rest of my life. And I'm able to share that story as I travel around this country, and people say, man, this is the greatest country. And I remember
really makes you appreciate our country and just how it can impact other lives.
Oh, sure. I mean, and people hear that story and they're like, now I understand, and the thing the kid was talking about, he's talking about a thing called freedom. You see, freedom is an oxymoron word because freedom is not free. If it wasn't for a young man or woman that served this country and gave their life, some gave the ultimate sacrifice, gave it all, and laid down their lives for this country. For we are reaping the benefits of men and women for what they did when you look at the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea, Desert Storm, Iraq, for what men or women are doing for our country, we're reaping the benefits. Because last time I checked, everybody's trying to still come into America. I don't see many people leaving. But it's we live in the best countries in the world.
We do, and thank you for pointing that out. I really appreciate that, and that is a powerful story. What I'd like to do is do a quick recap. Welcome everybody to the Veterans Chamber of Commerce radio show. My name is Shelly Harrison, and I am a co-director for one of the chapters of the chamber. And we are here with Abiud Montes, and he is an extraordinary speaker and veteran, and doing some great things out in the community where he lives in Florida. At this time, too, I'd like to recognize our sponsor, who is Mays and Associates. Director of the company is Mark Mays, who is also my business advisor. And you'll see it up there on the screen. So thank you all for joining us. And we really want to support our veterans. And this is a great platform to be able to do that. And Joe, who is our executive director, he does a phenomenal job of bringing all that together. So thank you. So let's hear back from Abby. We'll get some more questions out there for Abby. What I'd like to ask you, Abby, is what is, you've talked about some stories, and I think the one thing that I would really love to know and curious about is what's next for you in terms of, you've got your company, you have your retirement that's coming up or that's already been recognized, but you're going to be celebrating it because of obviously the conditions out there. But what's next for you?
Well, I'm still working part-time at the fire. Well, not part-time. I'm still working at the fire department. I'm blessed to have that job for 27 years. I have 4 years
Yeah.
left before I fully retire from the fire department.
Wow.
The main thing is focusing on more leadership opportunities, traveling and speaking. Last year, I was totally blessed to travel to Chicago to be at the SHRM conference, Green Bay, Wisconsin, this February, I believe, before the
Oh,
COVID
just before
started.
COVID. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to be at the Fire Chiefs Association conference with over 100 fire chiefs in the room, and able to share
Oh,
a
my
little bit.
gosh.
Oh, we did active shooter training, and I actually was signed up to do the leadership training, which is I talk about red leaders and green leaders, but they really love that. And then when I pitched, oh, by the way, I have this other training I do, they sent me the contract and they switched them. And I was like, wait a second, I thought we were doing
Oh,
leadership. They go, well, we love that, but we decided to do this one. So I said, okay, no
yeah.
problem. So I said next time, which they already invited me for 2021 in Green Bay, Wisconsin
Oh,
next
that's
year.
awesome.
So looking forward
Yeah.
to that. By that
Yeah.
time, hopefully everything's back to normal. But that's the
Let's
objective,
hope
is
so,
to
right?
travel and speak and just share knowledge with people. I love people, Shelley. I
Yeah, and
I
I know that about you.
I
You do. Yeah. And I think, the just the greatness that you share with people. And we've had you on other podcast shows. In fact, I went back and listened to Daniel Pooter. I know you were on his show, Success Breeds Success. I can't remember the name of the show. But anyway, Daniel Pooter. So we'll put it out there. He's one of the top 20 podcasters.
yeah.
And you're so authentic when you talk to people and you share your experience of being, in the military. And, fast forward, here you are, all of the teachings and the learning and the sacrifice and everything that you made and did in those years of being in the military, you're applying to your business. So share with me, what do you think the one thing, the driving force is, that when you look at your business today, what is that one thing that really helps you to persevere and just keep doing what you're doing?
But you know what, Shelley, I think that the number one thing is I always remember that in the business world and in speaking is I'm number two. I'm always number two. You know why, Shelley?
Why is that? Why is that?
Because you're number one.
Oh,
And if
and that's,
you
wow.
focus on
Thank
that,
you.
every time you go out and share that it's not about you. It's not about me in the sense, it's about you. It's about my story could touch somebody's life that can make a difference for them to make a decision to move forward. Another topic we didn't talk about, but I talk about suicide awareness and I talk
Yeah.
about different stories. Sometimes I don't plan on talking about that subject, but when I was in Green Bay, I shared and like half the room was weeping. A couple people took me out afterwards and they were weeping. And I said, wow, I was able to share my story and they were able to make a difference in their life. So that's what it's about. And
And
if you focus on that, I think that's the key thing.
And how did that make you feel? Having an audience like that, knowing that they're in a, it kind of, do you think that they were just kind of in pain for what you were going through and your story, or were they relating it to their own lives, or what do you think it was that caused them to do that?
I think it was I believe it was something they're going through. I mean, I know we only have like a couple minutes, but I could share if you'd like me to. It might
share a story. Yeah, share a story with us. I know we've got.
Let me share this story with you because this is what I don't plan on. I never write that down. I mean, I write my notes and stuff. I'm not a speaker. I don't look at. I look at my bullets and I speak from my heart, and that's the best.
And I know that about you. Yeah.
Thank you. When I train speakers or I'm training someone, I always say, hey, tell your story. Because that's what people want to hear. They'll remember a story. They won't remember statistics and numbers and nothing like that. But what I share my story many times. But when I was in Green Bay in February, I shared this. I shared that we have a thing called in the military. It's called a high value target, HVT. A high value target would be Saddam Hussein, any al-Samadi, anybody you can think of, that is, we have to take them out. Why do we have to take that person out? Is because we have to take bin Laden out because he's the brains of the operations. If we can get the brains of the operation, the main guy, we can crumble the situation. So what I did is I'm writing my, well, not a whole book, but a chapter at a time. And one of them
Yeah.
is called HVT, high value target. But I used that and I said from the military, now I'm going to say, Shelly, you're a high value target. And why are you a high value target? Why am I a high value target? You and I are a high value target. Every time the thought comes to our mind of suicide, that means the enemy believes in you and the enemy wants to take you out. So if the enemy believes in you so much, how much more do we need to believe in ourselves?
Yes.
Because no one's going to want to take you out if you're not important. Nobody wants to end it for you if you're not a high value target. So I took that and say, I'm a high value target. You're a high value target. And as I speak to the audience, I say, every time the thought of suicide came to your thought, that means someone believes in you. So if someone believes that you're going to make it and they want to take you out, how much more should you believe? And that's the key thing. How much more should you believe? And you know, when I was saying that, I saw people weeping, just instantly crying. So I knew that everybody at one time in their life has thought of suicide. I don't care who you are. We've all gone through it. But now I get excited. If the thought comes in my mind, I get excited because I say, you know what? That thought is saying I'm going to make it. And if they believe I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it. You're going to make it. So I keep pushing, and I get excited. But I wasn't planning on sharing that story today, but someone out there needs to hear it. So
yes, and that's why you said it, because I think it's absolutely important to mention, because this is a difficult time now for a lot of people, and you know, and you're still out there, you know, giving those powerful, you know, words of encouragement and you know, just sharing with people. And what I'd like to find out now is if we have any comments from our audience. I know, thank you for joining us with the Veterans Chamber of Commerce radio show. And do we have any comments right now? And we had a few. Absolutely. So Dolly says, absolutely, stories have power and they help others learn that there are possibilities and solutions for everyone. So true. Thank you, Dolly, for sharing. And yeah, and she's telling you, thank you for sharing your story and helping other people out there too with their challenges.
thank you, Dolly, for your great message.
And what you know, when I look at, you know, you and the things that you've done in your career, Abby, I can see so many things that, you know, that you really have done to change lives. When you're doing that and, you know, you've seen it firsthand, what's going through your mind when, you know, whether you're consulting with a client or you're working with them directly, maybe in a group, what goes through your mind when you know that you've been able to get through to someone?
You know, when people come to me, sometimes they don't, when I'm in large groups, obviously they don't tell you, but they'll come afterwards and they'll ask the question, hey, you know, I'm looking for a mentor, I'm looking to be a firefighter, or what you said about the suicide, I'm struggling through that. Would you, you know, pray with me? Would you talk to me? I'm like, sure. And those are the intimate moments, the one-on-ones, you know.
Yeah.
The big groups, I've been blessed to speak to large groups as long as 5,000 people, but I've had groups of 5 people, and that's been more powerful. 5 people in their face and just talking and mentoring them and lifting them up, and that alone, you know, just changing what they're doing. But you know, people at the end ask me, hey, how do I become a firefighter? And I help them, and if I'm looking for a mentor, and I tell people everyone needs a mentor. We need a mentor and we need to mentee. So we always, iron sharpens iron. So there's certain individuals that I call all the time, and if it's people in the military or chaplains in the military or friends of mine that I'll call up, and one of the things I do, there's another thing I do is I'll pick up my phone, and you can do this too. Look at your phone and say, who haven't I talked to in a very long time? Pick up the phone and call them. And just by picking up and speaking to them, you're mentoring them, or they may even say something in your life and they're going to mentor you. But there's a lot of people out there you can do. And then, you know, those are the key things to help out.
To kind of remember.
Yes.
Yeah. And you never know what someone is going through, and being in their shoes, you know, and that's why even kindness, you know, spreading kindness throughout, you know, just throughout our country. I think a lot of people just sometimes even forget that little bit of kindness, which, you know, again, people need mentors. They need, you know, there's so many things that can help people get through their day, and especially, like you said, just by picking up a phone and calling someone that you haven't heard from or talked to in a long time. What can the Veterans Chamber of Commerce do for you to help you, Abby, in your quest for really empowering and helping other people and our veterans?
I think it's what we talked about earlier. We know right now that there's 22 veterans a day that are committing suicide, but not just, the ones that just got back from Iraq and Afghanistan. They're looking at military members from Vietnam. We all struggle through different situations, but you don't have to go to war, don't have a battle over there. You can not be even a combat veteran and you're struggling through stuff. And I think by us reaching out and just doing presentations, speaking in front of groups, the chamber is doing that for veterans. And just having me on this show, Shelly, maybe there's something that we share today that a veteran could hear and say, you know what, I'm going to make a decision to live. And
you just changed a life, right? Or two or three.
And I think what you're doing, just sharing this message and having veterans come on and speak is the most important thing with the veteran chambers. And it's key. I mean, we need more of this. We don't have enough of it. But what you're doing, what Joe is doing, it's reaching out and touching those veterans and making it like, but not only veterans, because I see on the side, there's some people here that I don't know if they're all veterans, but I can see the list going up of people watching and saying different comments. But
and Dolly actually, and Dolly is asking, is there a mentor of yours that really stands out that helped you get through a challenge?
I have many different mentors. One, I would say, I was actually reading one of his comments today because I actually decided to see some of my own videos of what I've been posting. And John Porter, he was a chaplain friend of mine, and we worked really well together when I was in the Marines, but I was attached to a Navy unit, NNCB 14, NNCB 21, and I was the military advisor. And we would travel in. As we went to we actually were in the middle of a training camp, and I brought him with me, and we were able to not only bring the like one-on-one, just talking about ideas, and how it's amazing how we're training people, but there's a lot of things that are similar that are in the Bible that are training and preparing and equipping people to make a difference. One of the things on my email, I said, it's not important how many followers you have, but it's about making leaders. And Chaplain Porter was about that, making leaders. And I agree 100%. We can have thousands of followers, but by taking someone and making and changing their life, that's the key thing.
Yeah. We had a nice comment there from Drake, was just, complimenting on your talk, and then also to remember to wear a mask. Now we have Joe Molina back with us, the Executive Director of the Veterans Chamber of Commerce. And I'm going to kind of push it back over to you, Joe. Abby, thank you so much for being here. We're almost out of time, and I'd like to turn it over to Joe.
I'll be back anytime you want.
I'm sure we will. Part 2 and 3.
So many topics that we can bring you almost every month, and we'll be happy to do it. I mean, I was just taking notes about what you were saying, and I like your number 2 approach. I think it's amazing that you can actually do that and live that way, because it does make people feel so special. So thank you for that. You also mentioned about the faith-based program, and we have a faith-based program in the chamber that we would love to have you be part of it, because we need more of that. I mean, for people who are faith-based in nature, that is needed, and the chamber is willing and more than happy to collaborate with chaplains, churches, anybody like that who wants to bring those veterans back in and provide that internal support, so they can actually have ministries for veterans. They can have prayer groups for veterans, because no one in this situation can do it alone. No one can. And so people like you who can bring to the audiences so much impact, so much influence is great. So we thank you for that. I do have a question from Samantha about what's faith-based. And faith-based is just what we're talking about right now. Faith-based is a platform, it's an opportunity for people who are believers to come in together as peers and have mentorship through either pastors, through chaplains, people who are who believe, who have that mind, that spiritual approach to get together. And veterans, we all, like you were saying earlier, we do have challenges of our own, whether we're coming in, when we're getting out of the military or along our lives, and we never know who we're going to impact, and so, but we see the results later. So it's extremely powerful, and what you're doing is extremely beneficial. So so I just wanted to thank you, and thanks Shelly for the session, and we will be honored to bring you back before your retirement. But but it's always to be always, it's a pleasure being a keynote speaker with you. I always watch you. When I watch your presentations, I always take in little things here and there on the way you say things. So I kind of imitate what you do a little bit on some of the things that I do. So I want to thank you for that. But again, just wanted to close the show with a big thank you to you, to our audience who are participating in the show, and to Shelly, and also to the team behind the scenes, Michael and Laura and Dali, who help us make this possible. Because it takes a village to do whatever we want to do, But,
right. And there we go. There's his information. Yeah. So, and Abby, as far as reaching out to you, how would you like to have people reach out to you?
Well, Shelly, since you and Joe are working with me from there, they can reach out to you, number one. Perfect. Get to you, and you can get to me. But, speaker.montes @gmail.com. I'm on LinkedIn, and I have a Twitter account, only because some people want you to have that to speak. And that's the only two I do currently. But
well, you have a huge following on LinkedIn, too.
Yeah.
You have a huge following.
I'm blessed to have some really, and I've met, out of 26,000 people, I think I've met probably close to 250. And when I go to California, I'll be hanging out with you. But one of my friends out in California, when I went last time, was Hiram Figueroa, who's a former DI, drill instructor, Marine, and he's speaker as well. So there's a lot of great contacts on LinkedIn, and there's a beautiful people out there. So next time I go to California, we'll do something. We'll do a presentation once, maybe next year, and love to come out there and share with you guys. I've been there many times before. I can come out again.
Well,
yes, and thank you for your
and
thank you for your patriot. But I love the outfit, and you've got your nice background there. Very impressive.
Let me show you this before we go. This is my coin. So I got my coin made. Number one coin maker. He's out of California, by the way.
Wow.
United States Marines.
Very cool.
And
oh my gosh, that is beautiful.
Master Gunner Sergeant Abiud Montes. OIF, awesome. Operation Iraqi Freedom, ODS, Operation Desert Storm, and my rank.
Wow. So you're going to want to encase that. Put that in a case, a beautiful case.
These are my gifts to people when I present it. So if I shake your hand and present it to you, that's the way you give a coin. If I go like this, I'm showing it to you. But if I present it, if I give you the handshake, that's for you. So when I see both of you, I have your personal coin for you when I see you in California.
That will be an honor to receive it.
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, I'm going to throw it back over to you, Joe, because I think we're out of time.
We're out of time. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I do want to reinforce what you said earlier, Adi, about freedom and liberty. And that's really what we're all about. That's what we are, veterans, because we are the protectors of the freedom and the liberties. We are the ones that we're guarding the freedoms of America, and we are serious about helping other veterans really take on that mindset. So, and freedom goes to everyone. We believe on everyone's freedom and everyone's liberties. Everyone.
Oh yeah.
Period.
Yes.
I agree.
Thank you very much, Abby. Thank you,
Guys.
Shelly.
God bless
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Abby. All right. Everybody have a great 4th of July.
You too. I'll see you
Absolutely.
soon.
you.
Let's
Until
do it
next
again.
time.
Okay.